So next speaker, does reputation matter? So we now welcome Carlo, who's Regional Sales Manager at Lighthouse, who will take us through the real financial impact of review scores using Lighthouse's global data to show how guest perceptions influence pricing power, profitability, and competitive positioning. So learn how to turn online reviews into a measurable revenue advantage.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna talk about the true cost of review scores and actually looking into details on the actual value of every tenth of a point of a review score, and then connect with the AI changes that are coming. So explain why this is more relevant than ever. I'm Carlo Alvarez Spagnolo. I'm here representing Lighthouse. It's been 20 years in this industry, 15 years coming to this region, and I'm a usual visitor here. And it's a pleasure. I love this event more than many others. Actually, it's one of my priorities, and it's an honor, and I hope it's going to be a very interesting session for you as well. So let me start with this cycle here and talk about very simple thing. The whole thing starts with a traveler that makes a booking decision, goes to the hotel, after stay, receives a request to leave a review. This review is usually having a component of quality and another of quantity. This quantity component is a scale 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. Nothing new here. Then this review will be aggregated. The quantity component will be aggregated and published. And sometime after, a revenue manager is going to look at that hotel room and set a different price for the future, right? We're going to look at this segment here and understand what's happening there and what is the capacity of the revenue manager to influence to do a better pricing based on this aggregated score, all right? But before we start, why we are doing this? Why it's so important? And I'd like to just start by asking in this room, how many of you, hands up, how many of you are hoteliers? All right, fantastic. And one more question. How many of you are taking into consideration the review score in your pricing decisions, in your forecast, in your strategy meetings? Okay, so we're on the same page. You know the answer to this already. So this is not new. The industry has been looking at this for years, for a decade already. So it's important because it's to look at the opportunities, the untapped pricing power. I'm overpriced. There is elasticity in my price, so I can just maybe look at the review score and take advantage of this. Also, the second reason, this opportunity to act on the feedback. If I'm going to be able to understand what exactly is the revenue behind this tenth of a point, so what I need to increase my rating. If I know what's the revenue, there's an opportunity also to leverage this internally and act on this feedback. Third, to bridge the gap. There's always an important conversation and need in these hotels to bridge the gap between revenue management and operations. And most importantly, the why, where, and by how much, right? We want to understand how this is influencing this and why now, why we are talking about this. And so one note before we start, this report, this analysis was conducted by Lighthouse, and it was taken into account Booking.com, so the scale is 1 to 10. There is a high statistical correlation, just to explain. So Lighthouse is working with more than 80,000 hotels worldwide, and we process 1.9 terabytes of hotel rates per day. So we analyze a huge amount of data. We come with a massive data set, and we got many markets to analyze, and for each market, hundreds of markets actually, and each market we analyze all the different hotel segments. But then we filter out most of the data because we were looking for really high statistical correlation to make sure that the numbers we are placing here are really relevant, right? And for instance, in a market where we're looking at a segment and there is not enough hotels, we were filtering every market on the segments on less than 20 hotels on that segment, we will filter out that market, for instance. We'll come back to this. Also, we only looked at one-night bookings to get rid of all the length of stay discounts, so it's going to be only just one-night bookings. We know the prices are changing all the time, but for this exercise, we look at uniformly distributed lead time, so always the same lead time to analyze, maximum 90 days. and we're going to talk about price increments. And this price increment concept is a dollar amount. So it's how much in this market is going to say, like for instance, if we get in a market that is $3, that means that $3, so a hotel that is 7.1 rating is going to be able to price $3 more than a hotel that is 7.0 rating. So every tenth of a point is a price increment in dollar amount. We'll come back to this as well. And it's everything in dollars, right? Okay, as I say, there was a lot of markets. The first thing that came out is that this difference between regions. When we look at the top 25 strong correlations in the US, 24 out of the 25 were 2 or 3-star segments, while in Europe, 17 were on the 4-star segment. Some obvious consideration here, well, there's really different regions. In Europe, we have 3.5 independent hotels for each chain hotel. That's driving lots of differences here. Also, in the United States, you have a lot more brand presence and knowledge, let's say, right, in the premium markets mostly. So let's go to the results. Here is an example. This will be the 2-star hotels markets in the United States. So this is the ranking of the highest priced increments in the markets. You can see here there's mostly all tier 2 or tier 3 destinations, except for San Diego, Dallas, and San Francisco. All the rest are really tier 2 destinations. So, and it's an interesting thing. And the reason will be that in these markets there's less presence of branded hotels, right? So that means that why this tier 2 were ranking higher here. But the important thing here, let's go back to the price increment again. This price here means that for San Diego, $3.60 is the expected increase in price for a hotel for every tenth of a point review in a 1 to 5, right? So if we look at this, except for San Diego and Dallas, all the price increments are less than $2. Doesn't look like much, right? But let's analyze the annualized here. I mean, look at the bottom. The average will be 1.47. So look at the impact of analyzing this. $1.47. The average hotel in this Anytime USA will be 85 rooms, an average occupancy of 68, multiply 365, it gives you $31,013, which by the way is a palindrome number. But the point I think is that this is incremental revenue. It's a 2-star hotel in a second-tier destination, only 85 rooms, and it's getting this incremental revenue just by increasing 0.1 point, right? So if we move up in this to the 3-star, you can see the price increments are a lot higher. It's getting starting interesting, right? So this will be United States, the top-ranked destinations in there, and you can see there's a mix here. But again, most of these are actual leisure destinations, except for New York and Washington. They're all leisure destinations. And New York and Washington, they're business hubs, but they also have a big presence of leisure. So here, the consideration that the finding was that the 3-star hotels are trying to compete with 4-star hotels. Moving to Europe, gets interesting here. This is 3-star hotels in Europe. The first consideration is that all these markets are part of countries that are top performers in terms of international inbound. You have France, Spain, Italy, UK, and actually 5 out of them are in Italy. So after searching this, we found that, well, actually in Italy, the second biggest market feeder, international market feeder, is US. The first is Germany. So the correlation here will be, yes, there's Americans coming to Italy, looking for the one-in-a-lifetime experience. They are more eager to pay extra for a higher-ranked hotel, right? But the most important outcome here is that these all markets that are heavily depending on international travelers. 4 stars in US. There's a mix of leisure and business. Here, what happens is that the amenities are taking more and more importance. In the 2-star level, the amenities are not that important, right? But here we're talking about this presence of premium hotels, branded hotels, but still ratings are important because they are looking for the amenities. A business traveler is going to look for the business facilities, the meeting rooms, etc. A leisure is going to look for spa, restaurant. So this is where it takes, right? And in Europe, same thing. It's a mix between leisure and business. On the leisure side, there's a lot of coastal beach destinations, for instance. Again, looking at the amenities, someone will like to just confirm that this is in front of the beach or not. But most importantly, they are all destinations that are heavy reliance on international travelers, again. And look at the price increments. Now we move into the 5 stars. In US, as I said, every market that has less than 20 5-star hotels will be removed. So there were so many non-well correlated. So we are only looking at the podium here. But again, just to give a sense of the scale, the podium of the 3 top markets, look at this number and consider it annualizing. And we are talking about 5-star hotels in US. It's no longer 85 rooms. We're talking about hundreds of rooms. So this is massive amount for just 1/10 of a point of review score. Same in Europe. Look at these amounts. Again, this is a mix of leisure and business. And the common thing here is that all markets are very reliant on on international travelers. Actually, 5 out of these are more than 50% of the income is international travelers, right? And the funny thing about, it was fun in actually having this massive amount of data, so many markets we analyze, that in the end, you can just actually extrapolate and guess what's going to be the curve for any given market, right? And this is the exercise we did. So for any given market, how this is going to be the expected behavior, and we came with two different patterns, let's say. One for the big markets, tier 1 destinations with high impact of international travelers. The second scenario that was repeating was more the tier 2 destinations with a lot more domestic incomes, right? The first scenario, in this case, the example is Manhattan. You can see the 3 and 4 stars are running in parallel because the price increments are pretty much the same. Because in this type of markets, there's a lot of fight in prices. So the 3 stars and 4 stars are, in many cases, pricing very close. So the importance of the reviews are getting more and more. So the more the price is close, the more the importance of the reviews there, right? While the 5 stars are pacing higher and just separating for the others. That's the kind of the trend that we saw in this type of market, tier 1 destination with a lot of international. The other type, just as tier 2, tier 3 destination with more domestic travelers, let's say, it's more that expected behavior, right? That every segment is pacing a bit higher than the previous segment. That's it, right? Okay, this is the analysis, the dollar by dollar amount increase. But there's another thing. What about the ranking buckets, right? I mean, all the online travel agencies have these filters where you can actually filter by rating. So there's another consideration here. If any hotel that is on 7.9, 8.9, about to just go to the next level, there is a gap there. There is a bridge to close. So instead of that 1/10 of a point, it's not only going to increase the price, it's going to be a big increase in bookings as well. Again, something to keep in mind. I don't have the numbers here, but it's massive. And so this was all about this correlation, this connection between the price increase, let's say, right, and the rating scores. But that's only the first part of the story, because where we were looking at this, and you guys, I'm sure everyone was looking at this, it's not new, but it's good to have these details. But the important thing is that on top of that, while we were looking at this, the game has changed completely, right? Because now there's a revolution at the moment. And so ChatGPT, let's change the subjects here. Moving to AI, ChatGPT took 2 months to reach 100 million users. I'm sure you've seen this chart before, it's everywhere, but it's important to keep in mind, because you look at Facebook, it took 4.5 years, right? So look at Netflix, more than 10 years to reach the same number of users. And Facebook and Netflix were social media and streaming. So we were looking at changes in the way we communicate, we connect, or the way we entertain. But ChatGPT is different. It's looking at the way that how travelers are making their travel decisions. And look at the speed this is changing. This curve is the speed the travelers are changing the decision behavior. So it's massive. It's not a trend. It's a transformation of the industry. So this is a number that I hope this, I mean, it's really to consider it for your strategy for next year. By 2026, it's projected that 40% of all hotel bookings will be made through AI-driven platform. Sounds like a lot. It's really a lot. But the important thing is that we're talking about, not talking about 2030 or someday. We're talking about next year. By the end of next year, this is the prediction. And this is a prediction. It was done by CG. But beyond the prediction, that could be more or less, it's sure to happen. What is important is that number there in white. 20% of use AI as first step for online search travel. So at the moment, 1 out of 5 searches are already starting on AI. They might not be finishing the booking on the AI, but they're starting on AI already. This is already happening. And what it means for me, it doesn't mean that AI is going to come and substitute. It's not going to replace my brand.com. It's not going to replace my position in the online travel agencies. It's sitting above that and acting as a filter. That's the important thing to take into account. It's not another channel. It's a filter to the existing channels. So it's going to decide whether you are shown or not. So how the AI is deciding who's being shown, who's picking, right? At the moment, well, it's 70% of the results are depending on reviews, blog, and public content, right? You know that. I mean, and there's this cycle that is continually refreshing and renewing. So the AI is looking at the AI at verification on TripAdvisor, Booking, Google, reviews, etc. It's looking at the verified reviews and the blogs and the content. How fresh is this content? How verified is? Is it positive? Is positive? It's going to increase the ranking, the chances that you're going to be shown and going to recommend it. If negative is old content, it's going to decrease that ranking, the chances that you're going to be shown or not. Again, this is a filter. It's not going to show, the AI answer is not going to show pages and pages of results, right? So this is already happening, and the important consideration here is there's 2 things to consider. One, again, it's been said before many times, this is the content, right? Take care of the content. Take care of course, of the blogs, the available content there, and take care of the reviews because they are becoming more and more relevant as we speak of this. But also the other part is the format. You make sure that that format is in a way that is available, so that it was released this model context protocol, that is the format that is going to be used by all the AI platforms. It's important that you have a partner that gives you the access to to upload all this content in this MCP model, right? So format and content, and the importance of the review scores. So here's what everything comes together. So for last decade, we were looking at review scores to impact our pricing power. You've been doing this. Now, we're talking now, it's already changing. Review scores are determining whether AI is recommend me or not. So I'm going to show in the picture or not. So it's the visibility, not just the pricing opportunity. And in the future, and we're talking about a very close future, because for the moment it's the search, but in the future it's going to influence the whole booking process. So the compound impact of these review scores is on the pricing power, for sure. The higher review scores, the more power for me to price higher. It's in the visibility now. It's very important. I want to be visible, and it's in this potential to get share of this channel, right? This is new channel. It's growing like no one in history before. I want to have a share of this channel before it's too late. So these 3 components, the price opportunity, the visibility opportunity, and the share on this new channel. Okay, so key takeaways for today. ComSet might have strong correlation despite weak market correlation. The advice here, the feedback here is to keep a look at your hotels that are competing at the same review score, right? At the same review score. You might have a ComSet, you might have that's based on your star rates or your branded, etc. But the review score is important. So keeping a look at this is important. Lighthouse offers a series of solutions that using smart ComSets. This smart ComSet is exactly that. It's a dynamic system that is always looking at the hotels that are ranking same as you, at appearing in the searches same as you, because at having the same review score is helping revenue managers have a better comprehensive view of this. So if you don't have a smart ComSet, it's a moment to think about. incremental gains amplify on an annualized basis. Again, it's not about this incremental of $2, $3, $5 per. It's about the value of the year, right? You calculate how much is at the end of the year, and this might trigger strategic decisions at the hotel to make sure that this happens. So this is something that needs to come from revenue managers to operations. In conclusions of this survey, report, in Europe, high price increments in countries with significant international inbound tourism, as we say, this transfers to any other market at the end of the year. So you're in a market where there's a high presence of your hotel rate segment, hotel star segment, and it's a market that is heavily reliant on international travelers. Make sure there is a high price increase there on every 10th of a point of review. For US, higher price increments evident in leisure destinations and primary markets. And finally, these fringe benefits of taking also a look at the filters on the OTA. So what's this gap depending on the filter on the OTA and how AI matters now, right? So consider this, the whole process about taking care of the review scores now is have an implication in your visibility in AI. So remember what I say about the format and the content. The content, the reviews, the format is this MCP model. By the way, also the Hotel Networks offers this Connect AI model that allows hoteliers to upload all this content in the MCP model. So if you're interested, just reach out. And that's kind of everything for today.